evening, my friends, and welcome to the Loop of Horror. I'm Count Dracula, and this is our chilling true story. Enjoy your macabre and filthy ravings while choosing on Amazon the doll I will give to my great-great-great-granddaughter as a birthday present. Anyways, I'm sure Igor's medicines can wait.
Before we begin, we remind you that we upload new and monstrous videos every Tuesday night. If you like this type of content, subscribe and activate the bell so you can get caught in this loop of horror.
Mommy, I'm scared. I can't sleep.
Gabriela said, crying, while standing next to her parents' bed in the middle of the night. Her mother, surprised, asked her the reason for her current mood. Gabriela explained that Wendy, her doll, had opened the laundry room's door. And then she went up the stairs with intentions of going to her room with a knife in her hand because she wanted to kill her. It was December 1990 when Gabriela's family decided to travel to Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, to Turtles Bay, South Baja, Mexico, to celebrate the Christmas holidays. Maria, the mother of the family, had bought a few days ago a 40-inch doll with curly red hair, freckles, and blue eyes for her 6-year-old daughter. She had hidden it since her intention was to give the doll to Gabriela in Turtles Bay on Christmas. The family arrived at the fisherman's cabin on the seashore near dusk after a long car trip. The fisherman was an acquaintance of the family and had invited them to spend the night there. Gabriela, the little girl, noticed that outside the house there was a fence made of wooden stakes, and that in several of the stakes there were nailed doll heads. The heads were old, battered, and several had no hair. This terrified Gabriela, and when her mother asked her if she wanted to sleep in the van where they had traveled or in the house, she chose the house because she didn't want to be outside with all those dolls' heads watching her. That first night, Gabriela had a terrible nightmare in which she saw a man sitting in a rocking chair that was in the room. The man was wearing a black suit, and his face was very white, as if it were painted white. The man was laughing comically, but without making any noise, as if it were a mime. He was staring at the girl as he rocked in the chair. Her mother, who was laying next to her, woke up when she felt that Gabriela was trembling. The girl told her mother what she had seen, but she did not believe her, since she thought it was a bad dream. Until date, the now adult Gabriela claims that she was not asleep and that it was not a bad dream. From that moment on, everything went smoothly. The family had fun on those holidays near the sea. They celebrate Christmas, and Gabriela received the doll that had been packed near the Christmas tree during all the holidays at the fisherman's house. In addition, Gabriela had received many other smaller dolls and of different styles from the other people who were present at the celebration. But without a doubt, the one her mother had bought had been her favorite. In the box of this doll, it says that her name was Wendy, so Gabriela started calling her that. After Christmas, strange things began to happen. Gabriela noticed that sometimes she left Wendy somewhere, and when she went to look for her again, the doll was no longer in that place, but in another. But since there were other girls in the house, cousins and daughters of other guests, she thought that maybe one of the other girls would take her to play for a while. The most serious thing that Gabriela commented is when her younger brother, then 2 years old, was riding a tricycle owned by the children of that house. Since he had not yet learned to ride a tricycle, instead of pedaling forward, he did backwards. The boy continued playing without realizing that he was approaching to the void of the rock, where the fisherman's house was. Gabriela suddenly had a bad feeling and ran to where the brother was, and she barely had time to hold him by the wrist to prevent him from falling. The tricycle fell into the void, being almost destroyed. Gabriela was still fighting, trying to drag her brother towards her. But the air was slippery, and she felt how little by little she was succumbing to the weight, to the point that she also began to slip into the void. It was as if something was absorbing both of them. Unable to get her brother saved, she desperately started screaming for help as tears welled up, calling her parents until her mother heard her and ran to help them. When the panic had passed and both siblings were safe, Gabriela noticed that Wendy was sitting outside the house, leaning against the wall, looking towards where everything had happened. Despite the fact that for a moment this caught her attention and that it was extremely strange to see her there, after thinking about it, she concluded that perhaps one of the other girls had taken the doll to play with it and had left it there. The family ended their vacation and started the car trip back to Tijuana. Gabriela immediately began to go outside to play with her neighbor friends, and of course, she carried Wendy, since all the other girls also carried the toys that they had received at Christmas. One afternoon, all the girls were reunited with their dolls. Gabriela asked her friend Elizabeth if they could swap dolls for a while to play. But Elizabeth did not agree, saying that Wendy was ugly and without any charm. Gabriela felt sad for what she said and exchanged Wendy with another friend's doll. When they got tired of playing with dolls, all the girls stood up to go to leave their respective dolls in their houses, then go out and play something else. Gabriela left the doll in her room and went outside again. They began to play tag, and during the game, Gabriela began to follow Elizabeth to tag her, but she was faster and almost impossible to reach. However, Gabriela did not give up and continue. But before she could reach her, Elizabeth tripped and fell violently due to the speed she was going, causing her a knee injury with a non-stop bleeding. The flesh had been cut open and lifted. Gabriela helped her friend get to her house, who lived across the street, right in front of her house. As she left Elizabeth with her mother and looked to her own house, she noticed that Wendy was in the front patio of her house, sitting and leaning against the wall, facing the street. The girl then had a very bad feeling and began to disdain the doll.
I did not like what you did, Wendy. You are bad,
she said. And it was from there when it got worse. Gabriela started having nightmares with Wendy. At first, they were mild. She dreamed that Wendy was chasing her because she wanted to hurt her.
As more time passed, Wendy's physical appearance changed more. Her blue eyes were bigger and revealed a piercing and evil look. Her mouth was much larger and painted red, like the lips of an adult woman. When she laughed, her mouth stretched almost from ear to ear, revealing infant teeth that the original doll did not possess. Then Wendy brought a kitchen knife and chased me while laughing. But there was no sound in that. It was just her face making expressions and moving like laughing,
Gabriela explained. The girl began to complain to her parents and brothers, saying that Wendy was chasing and terrorizing her. But they did not give it importance because they were nightmares. However, as the days went by, Gabriela began to say that Wendy really moved, that she saw her walk, move her arms and her eyes, but her parents did not take it seriously because they knew that the doll walked on batteries, and they believed that Gabriela wanted to call attention and tried to convince her that they were only nightmares.
The doll was a walking Wendy, almost my size. With batteries, she could walk, but I knew something else was going on.
When the girl realized that her family did not believe her, and after several nights of terror, she decided to remove the batteries from Wendy to prevent her from moving. Gabriela felt alone, without any support, until one night she woke up suddenly, crying and asking for help from her older brother. Eric, who was 8 years old at the time, commented that when he realized that Gabriela was crying because 3 siblings were sleeping in one room, he asked his sister what was happening. Gabriela told him that Wendy was chasing her with her ugly face and that she had a knife. She said it was not just Wendy anymore, but all the other dolls too. Eric had a ghastly feeling and looked back at the bureau, where the doll was usually placed. Terrified, he confirmed how the doll lowered her arm to complete her sitting position. He immediately got up, took the doll, turned it over to reveal her back, and opened the battery compartment. When he confirmed that she had no batteries, he threw her down the stairs and closed the door of the room so that Gabriela could sleep. The next morning, Eric told his mother what had happened. But not only did his parents not believe, they were fed up with the situation. Gabriela told them that the other dolls had started to chase her too, and that little by little they began to change, just like Wendy. She said that their mouths were big and red, that they looked mean and smiled devilish. That same night, the parents had returned tired from a long day of activities and didn't wish to be awakened again by Gabriela and her nightmares. So the mother decided to take Wendy and all the other dolls and lock them in the laundry room on the first floor of the house without Gabriela knowing it. When everyone was asleep, Gabriela woke up her parents again.
Mommy, I'm scared. I can't sleep.
Gabriela said, crying as she stood next to her parents' bed in the middle of the night. Her mother, surprised, asked her the reason for her current mood. But she was horrified when Gabriela told her that Wendy had opened the laundry room's door. The girl said that the doll was going up the stairs along with all the other little dolls. She said that they all smiled maliciously with their mouths painted red. That while they went upstairs laughing with no sound, they were all taking off their clothes, and that their bodies had a doll female breast, and not those flat plastic bodies that define dolls. The girl said that Wendy, who was leading the army of dolls, was carrying a knife and was going to the bedroom to kill her. Maria felt goosebumps and finally believed in her daughter, because Gabriela did not know that the doll was in the laundry room. The girl had a panic attack and was reluctant to go back to her room to sleep. The parents took all of their children and went to a nearby Catholic seminary at night. One of the priests opened the doors and received them. The cleric practiced a special mass for Gabriela, who did not stop crying at the church shrine. The next day, the parents got rid of all the dolls. Gabriela didn't know what her parents did with them, but neither did she ask. Furthermore, she lost her predilection for these peculiar toys. To date, she commented that when she sees a doll, she still feels a chill.
Like this video to prevent the night beast from bothering and visiting you, and subscribe, activate the bell for creepier and twisted content brought from the bowels of the beyond. Remember that you can find unique content, information about our next videos, bases for our bizarre contest, and much more on our social media found in the description. Do not hesitate and let yourself be caught by our loop of horror.
Last but not least, we recommend you to not accept toys from strangers. You never know the little surprise you will find inside.